tutorial starts with a song, but it's only a few seconds long.
Computer animation. Computer animation. Computer animation.
Let's get started with animation. Hi there. This is the website of Renderpeople. Renderpeople create 3D characters, ideal for illustration, whatever. I'm not affiliated with them, so this is not a review at all. So, but from time to time I visit their website and check out free models, for example, for this tutorial channel, and free download, new. So I could actually download the latest here, but I didn't want to. But this one is new, and he just walks. What is his name? Well, I don't know. When you download the Maya format, you pretty much you have everything you need. And when you check the content browser, which is on the Windows General Editor's content browser right here, you find under People, Modeling People, you find the prefab bipeds, which are provided by Renderpeople. Actually, when you install Maya, you get them. And this is the directory here. And I just put the new bloke into this directory, including the source images. So in the source images folder, which is in the subdirectory here, you need all the textures which come with this file. So this is everything is set up now. When I double click this icon here, I get the man into the scene. But I want to show you how to go about this later. These are 9 times 2, 4, 6, 8 people, lots of them in the scene, as you can see, and they're placed slightly randomly. They do the same steps in sync, so to say, but this one is a little bit more to the right than this one. Same here, and they have a slightly different rotation. This one, for example, is rotated slightly in this direction, whereas this one is well, moving in this direction, very subtle. And they walk in sync. In the background, I have a sky dome light, and I mapped the sky dome light. This is this one. Let me press F8. I mapped it with a color, and the color is an image. It's called Skyline Frankfurt. And I think I have it from Wikipedia. I don't remember, and I'm really sorry if I cannot give credit to the author who did this beautiful photograph, which is just basically showing us a landscape here. I didn't do anything about the mapping, so it's sort of sitting in the background of the scene. And when I render this image here, this still image, if you would want to place them in a real environment, you would have to adjust the geometry and the mapping of this Frankfurt scene file here. But this is quite a good job, basically, for just throwing an image into the scene. The more interesting thing here is how to create those characters here, in so many of them actually. And I'll show you how to go about this. We'll create a new scene. When we deal with character animation, we need to go to Settings Preferences first, because it makes life much easier. We go to the Settings, and the settings, it's a time frame of 24. I think it will be changed automatically because the walking sequence has 30 frames per second. But we need to go from centimeters to meters to get a new grid layout here, new dimensions, basically. So when we press A, we see the same grid here, but it's much bigger. This is 1 meter here now, instead of 1 centimeter. And now we're ready to import this guy here, and under content browser I find him, double click. Nathan is his name, probably in real life that's his name. Here he is, and when we click here, Maya is trying to find the textures and map the textures to that character. Excellent. And he walks from the right to the left forever. So if I extend the frame range here to, well, 400, he just continues walking. Very nicely made, and he even blinks his eyes. Now he's blinking. He doesn't blink too often. Okay, so this is one of them. Now we want to have many. We first of all need to select him, and you might find it hard to select him here. So check the outliner. You need to open this, and you need to find some geometry. This is not a geometry here. This isn't this whole skeleton here. This is the geometry here. So he is selected. Now we go to special effects, because that's a special effects module really, and it's called Mesh. You probably heard about it. I made about 50 tutorials about Mesh. It's a great tool. Create Mesh network. You can use the option box here. Just reset the settings. Everything is fine. And I want actually, when I reset the settings, I have the distribution type to linear, but I want to place them on a grid, and that's what I'm doing now. So I apply it and close it, and already I have 9 of them. And now in the attribute editor, Control A if you don't see it here, the attribute editor, you see, well, the mesh repro, that's basically responsible for the geometry, where you could use the GPU, for example. And the mesh distribute node is the interesting one for our basic setup. And here you see that we have 3 times 3 and none upward. Let's make more of them. So we have a quite a selection here, quite a few of them. I go back to Mesh and I introduce some randomness, and it is here. Add a random node. It distributes them randomly and some of them in the air. Well, that's because in the random settings here you see position X, Y and Z, and we don't need a Y randomness, so we want them to be all on the ground. But they interpenetrate each other now because there's so many. So let us reduce the amount of folks here to this, well, 6 by 7 or something like that. I can change the distance so they're getting closer together, but I want to go back to the randomness, because the randomness in the position is it's much too high for this army kind of look I want to achieve. I just want a slight difference in the position. So how about 0.1? 0.1. This is quite nice. They are not exactly in the same line and in both axes really, and I can use a rotation in Y, of course, because that's the upward axis. Rotation in Y, when I do that dramatically, they interpenetrate each other again. But for example, with 3 degrees, they have a slightly different orientation, and that's basically all I need. Now I go to, well, whatever length you have, to the end of the animation here, and here you see whether they penetrate each other or not, and here you see they do. So we might actually need to reduce the randomness in the rotation from 3 degrees to 2 degrees. Let's reduce this to 0.05. Because the longer they walk, the more the randomness gets active. So this kind of looks good. So while Maya is caching this, I'll show you a sort of screenshot of how I applied the music. The music had only one problem really, it was to find the proper rhythm. And the rhythm is, of course, totally synchronized with the walking here. And the walking is basically 90 frames per second. I found this out by trial and error. I could have calculated it from the timeline in Maya, actually, looking at precise movements from the side view, for example. I mean, this scene is, when you render it, it's just almost worthless when you don't have music. And so music and computer animation are just excellent brothers and sisters. But who is the sister and who is the brother? Well, have a nice day. Bye-bye.